Shree,
Hi,
how
I
are
was like, I
you?
like that suit. Like your background
Yeah.
picture is way better than mine.
Thank you. Thank you. I
I need to
appreciate
step
it.
up my game here. That's a great
I want
picture.
to get one of those AI pictures, like that you
Yeah.
see in like LinkedIn or whatever. Do you know it's not really them?
Yeah.
But
Those ones
then
are
they're all
good.
like cut and
Yeah.
everything, and it all just
Buttoned up.
It's
that's what
so
I want.
weird though.
Younger.
Like, oh, it's so weird. I get AI, like, and I like that it has a good positive purpose for some things, but some of it, I'm like,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
Yeah.
scary.
weird.
No,
I
it's
know. Just
definitely
It's
some
watching
of it's
weird.
weird
Terminator.
for sure.
It can get out of control.
It's
Yeah.
weird. And I'm like,
Right.
I feel like we're all going to lose some brain cells if we don't write our own emails sometimes.
That's
But
right.
hey, what do I know? I'm just old fashioned. But sorry, Sharif, I go off on tangents.
No, I
Nice to
agree
meet you.
sometimes. It's nice to meet you both.
And I don't know if I say good morning or good afternoon because I don't remember exactly what city
Yeah,
you're.
where is-
Are you in
yeah.
Arizona?
I'm in
with me?
Arizona. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You the weird time people.
Hey,
Yeah, they never
we are
change.
the
You guys have
smart
your own
time
rules.
people.
Exactly.
We are the smart time people. Sharif knows what's up. Okay, so are you in the Phoenix area?
Yeah, I'm out in Mesa, so
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I like it a
I
lot.
live in Yuma actually, so not that close, but not that far. And my kids are swimmers, and so we swim in Mesa at a couple of the different pools there.
Yeah,
One at like Skyline High
that's
School.
literally
Yes.
like right there, literally like
Oh,
right
right by
next
your
door.
house.
Yes, I
Skyline
can
is
hear
a
it.
nice pool.
It's super
Yeah,
nice.
It's a
But-
nice pool. So we've been to that pool a few times, and then there's another pool in Mesa that's not as far out east as Skyline. It's more like in near the downtown little
Mhm.
Mesa part, off of like I think it's Horn Boulevard or something. Like it's more like closer to the what you'd call your downtown Mesa. I
Okay,
think.
yeah. I'm still a
So
little
there's
new
another
to the
pool we've
area.
been to there, but definitely spend time in Mesa when we travel for all those swim meets.
Yeah, I
So
can imagine.
next time I'll wave to your neighborhood
Yeah.
and go to Skyline. But
Literally, I'm like next door.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's a nice area. And it's going to get hot, so we won't talk
Yeah.
about that yet, Sheree, because I'm not prepared. But anyway, James and I will briefly just introduce ourselves so you know who you're chatting with. And then, of course, we'd love to get to know you and answer any questions you have and all that good stuff. So
Definitely.
obviously, I'm in Arizona with you. And so good morning. It is still morning here. I have been here at Teleteachers, which is now called Myo Health. We just changed our name a little bit for about 3.5 years, all things HR, hiring, recruiting, interviewing, and whatever other duties I have to take care of. My background is as a special ed teacher and special ed director, and so kind of aligns with our services side of what we do here. And I will pass it over to James.
All right. Hey, good morning, Sharif. I'm out in Denver actually.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I'm in the west-ish area right now,
Yeah.
as far west as you guys, but I'm the VP of Sales here at Myo Health. Again, formerly Teleteachers, like Shannon said. My relationship to this work is I was a former teacher and school principal, middle school level, and then I've been in sales for about 10 years now,
Okay. Nice.
related to supporting ed tech and education-related sales. So, but yeah, and I am just 5 days short of 1 year. So I'm almost 1 year here at the company. And yeah, we're excited to hear about you. And then what I'd like to do after we hear a little bit about you, we'll kind of bring you to the table here this morning. Then I'll kind of go into a little bit about us,
Okay.
about the job, and then we can just go back and forth with whatever questions pop into everybody's head. So we try to
Okay.
make this as conversational as possible because interviews are just so
Yeah.
it's so weird anyway, right?
It
And the
is.
whole process is just no offense to HR people, Shannon. I'm not saying that.
I'm not easily offended, but and also I like super not traditional in the fact that I'm not
Right.
going to interrogate anybody because I don't like that if I'm being
Right.
interviewed. So why would I do that to anybody else? But
Actually, and, hey, you know what? I just figured out that my voice carries, and I'm going to shut the door real quick. So, Shree, I can still hear you. Would you tell us about yourself just real quick?
Yeah.
I'll be back in like 6 seconds.
Definitely. So, I've been in sales for professionally about 5 years now. Right now, I'm with a company called InstaWork, which I've been there for about half a year in a senior sales development role. And they're a modern on-demand staffing company. So, I'm on like the mid-market to enterprise level teams where we're reaching out to a mix of different industries, and I'm like usually approaching C-level, whether it's like a chief operating officer, a VP of human resources, depending on the company size, maybe a general manager, and that spans across education. So we work with universities, and we work with top hotels, we work with stadiums, we work with warehouses, and pretty much just fill like general labor positions, warehouse associates, servers, front of house, back of house, like line cooks, chefs, things of that nature. And reason I'm in the market for another role, so that one's hybrid. And Shannon, you'd understand. So like downtown Phoenix, the drives can be pretty crazy from like Mesa some days. So really just looking to, make a transition, still in like the staffing industry, and in the education industry as well has been one of my interests. I've started like some educational ed tech virtual hiring type of staffing companies in the past. That's what I did before I joined InstaWork. So I pretty much started a program where we assisted a lot of entry-level people break into different careers, where we, educated them on resumes. We built out a network of a lot of different creators to not only do interview prep and just show people how to, build out your LinkedIn, build out your resume, how to show up professional, and as well, like partnered with a lot of corporate companies for whether it was like placement fees, or even AI companies that do like AI resume revamps or AI resume send out. So
Right.
that's kind of what I did. And I mean, prior to that, I was at another tech startup, which was ad tech. So like a native programmatic advertising company using AI to scale ads programmatically. And before that, like real estate was my first sales experience. And, that kind of wraps up my sales career.
Okay, great. That's perfect. Thank you for sharing all that. So interestingly enough, you kind of touched on a couple of different worlds we live in here. And so let me kind of take a step back, tell you about us, where we've been historically, where we're trying to go, how it relates to this position, and then we can just take it from there. But in education, obviously, there are shortages of a lot of different folks, right? From speech language folks to school psych, special ed teachers, general ed. I mean, there's a lot of shortages in that arena. So several companies started before the pandemic to help kind of virtually staff these positions. Some were hybrid, some tried to do boots on the ground, kind of, staffing in person. But as you probably could relate to from your previous experience, it's been challenging because if you're within driving distance of a school district, for example, you're probably going to work for the school district and not the staffing company, right? So we kind of lived in that arena for a short time at the beginning of us in 2019 as teleteachers, but then we transitioned over to kind of a fully remote-based approach. And so we provide those remote services. We help on one side of the house. Historically, we've helped school districts stay in compliance with IEP laws and IDEA and things like that, filling in void for instruction. I mean, all those kind of things. And that's where we were from 2019 when we started till about this year, right? Now, in that time, we have kind of started to add two other lanes to what we do.
Okay.
One is mental health services. So for the same kind of thing, virtual staffing, but not for IEP specific, not for students and special education services, but more of kids staffing for social workers, counselors, mental health professionals, things like that, because there's a lot of kids who have a lot of needs, right? And a lot of people who have a lot of needs, but a lot of kids who have a lot of needs. So we've been in that area now too. And this other area has evolved because we've had a platform that we developed from the ground up. It's our property intellectually. We have a team in both Chicago and India that kind of supports the tech side of things. But we've been building out this platform for a couple of different things, and now we're ready to kind of relaunch it, reintroduce it, rename, rebrand kind of thing. But it does a couple of really cool things, and that's what's specific to this role. Is trying to push that SaaS product out into the marketplace and create sales that way. What it does, to be really short, because I don't want to take all the time describing it, but it does a couple things. It serves as a virtual platform for providers to connect with kids and deliver services remotely with a video interface similar to Zoom or what have you. It does that. It also lets schools track IEP progress towards goals, managing documents, kind of making calendar invites, making sure everybody's on the same page with all those kind of pieces. So it does that. And then it also has a universal screener so that districts can take it. And for example, several districts would potentially say, okay, we're going to do a universal screener for all kids grades 5, 7, and 9 to kind of get some baseline data about everybody and how they're feeling about themselves. Do they feel bullied? Do they feel anxious? Do they feel depressed? All those kind of things. And then if they get a couple of hits on that, like, wow, everybody for the most part is okay, but these kids, wow, they need intervention quick. We can work with them to kind of build some interventions in place so that those kids have we can get in the way of those kids before they become angry or, God forbid, self-harm,
Right.
anything like that, drug, anything like that. So that's the idea of the SAS project, to go in for early interventions, document management, student interface. So it does a couple of different things, but we want someone with some SAS background to go out and communicate that to school district leaders. You said C-suite earlier. So in this case, it would be superintendents, assistant superintendents, directors of special education, like Shannon used to be, those kind of folks, to say, hey, listen, we can do this. And honestly, because we're a small company, we can do it on average, not all the time, but on average, we can do it less than our competitors can as far as per student costs. So we feel pretty good about the marketplace. But honestly, a lot of us are, education background. We don't have that SAS.
Right.
We don't have that expertise that's what we're looking for. So let me push pause here for a second. Any questions you have at this point about where we are, where we've been, and kind of what we're trying to look for here?
I would say in terms of just the screener and kind of like what sets you guys apart from the competitors, what would you say just like that process would look like? Say if you got the 6th, 7th, 8th graders, what would that process look like of like getting them set up and like onboarded and delivering that value?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And I hear kind of two different things. What makes us different? Let's take that one first. We have 7 screeners already embedded in the platform, so they can choose, and they all have different purpose. Some are more kind of broadly viewed, and some are more anxiety specific or depression specific or just general well-being. And so they can pick and choose, or if the district wanted to, they could use all 7 if they.
Really?
I think that'd be a little bit too much, but that's their call, right? So, or if they have an in-house screener they've been using that they like, they can upload it and then into the system, and then that screener appears. And what would happen? They would go through an onboarding process with us, load student data into our rosters and we can do it one of 2 ways. You can do it with a QR code if kids want to use their phones to take it or what have you, or at home or at school. I would prefer at school if I was an administrator doing this. Or most kids, even though they don't use a whole lot of email these days, that's just the honest truth, they could go to their district emails and issue it that way. That way, each individual link is per student.
Okay.
And so they will have a report back for how James, Shannon, and Sharif reported on their survey. So they would have what I would prescribe is have a set time in health class, social studies, wherever,
Right.
And everyone take it while everyone's in one spot. They usually don't take more than, maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes at max. They're not that extensive, but then you get the data back instantly. And they'll upload, and then we can provide it to the district to say, okay, here's what we found. And for our standards, here's the list here's the red, here's the yellow, here's the green.
Okay.
Right? Green and yellow, you guys can do what we want, but the red, you have to, I would get on those causes really quickly. And also as an administrator, I can look to say, if I'm a district administrator, well, this one middle school has more bullying or, what have you, than the others combined. So let's look at the data and really parse out what's happening here versus what's going on here.
That makes sense.
And so you can kind of do some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of run a diagnostic of your own district and say, let's look at this from 30,000 feet. Is there anything we can change here? Or do we need to put other resources over at that other school? So that's how I would implement it. Now, there's a lot of other detail behind the scenes. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a SAS guy. But in general, that's how it would work.
Okay.
And then what I would do for those high flyer kids, I would do similar assessments every few weeks or months to make sure we're improving over time. And then for everybody else, I do a mid-year and then an end-of-year screener just to make sure everybody's on the same page.
And then in terms of like those students in the red, you have the staff, whether it's remote, virtually, and a platform that you can recommend like, hey, these are some people that we have. They're certified in this, this, and this. Based on these answers, we'd like to pair them together. We could do that.
Or, if the district says, hey, if it's a big district, right? They can do that and they can parse it out if they want. So so that's what the MIO stands for, make it your own, right? We try to be as much or as little to the district as they need. We really mold ourselves to their purposes. So if they're like, hey, we've got a handle here, but wow, if you had a couple of extra counselors for the next 6 months at this site, could you help us? Yeah, well, we could get interventions in place and help them walk through that. So it really is kind of on a per district basis.
Okay.
But yeah, could we go in with like a massive kind of like deployment of people? We could, or the district can just take the data, and if they have the resources, they can take care of it, or somewhere in between all of that.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So how did I do, Shannon? Was that
That's
somewhat
good.
accurate?
I
I
like
mean,
Sharice's questions. Like he's
I do
making
too.
you work
These
on a
honestly,
Friday
these are the
morning.
best questions I've had about it.
I
So
know.
this is-
Keep it up, Sharice.
That's
You're
right.
making-
That's right. Doing
I
great.
might need more
Doing great.
coffee after this. I mean, like I'm like, wow, okay, I gotta think about this
Yeah.
one. Or this is
Maybe
good.
it's
You're
just
gonna get,
people in Arizona. Maybe
Yeah.
that's it.
The
That's
energy is good energy
We
out here.
won't-
The
we
sun's
won't.
always out.
that's right. See, that's why we're just chipper, right? We got sunshine
That's
most
right.
of the time, folks.
Yeah.
I get excited when I see a cloud and a raindrop. I'm sure Sharice
That's
feels
right.
the same way. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Right.
what's that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a great question. So I'm sure you have some more
okay.
because I feel
Yeah.
like you're processing all of this very quickly and you're understanding it very quickly as well. And it's a lot to take in. So what other questions can we try to answer for you about the platform, about anything in general?
I would just say, what are the goals or like the kind of focused in for the next year or so? Like, where are you focused on taking the platform? What are the different, like, maybe districts or areas? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think school districts are that first focus. Now, I will say, kind of get into the grand scheme here, right, of what we're trying to do. For this position, we are focused on school districts or LEAs, BOCES here in Colorado, other educational, groups. So we have a lot of mountain towns here, right, and
Yeah.
they can't afford individually to buy it, but put 13 of them together, yeah, they have some purchasing power all of a sudden. And so whatever in Texas they have, I think ESU. So across the country, this position will be national. So you
Okay,
have,
sweet.
unfortunately, but you'd have to manage that time shift that Shannon has to deal with on the daylight and standard
Yeah.
time kind of thing. But it would be national. We do serve 49 out of the 50 states. We right now are not in California for a host of reasons, and mainly because their labor laws and specific licensing for companies is.
Yeah,
It's a little bit
Painful.
very crazy.
Painful.
I was going to say complicated.
That's
not
nice,
painful.
James.
Yeah,
It's
that's
painful. We've
painful.
tried. I've been here when
Painful.
we've tried, and it's painful. So forget you
Right,
in California.
right.
We're going to leave
Okay,
it over there.
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen for
but,
sure.
But having said that, we've kind of narrowed that down from the 49 rating states to about 22. 22 or 11 on the east side, 11 on the west side. And what we would try to do is really hone in on districts, say 10,000 to 25,000 students.
Okay.
Those would be yours entirely to go into. And certainly you'd have support with the team as well. So it's not like you're on your own.
Right.
But go in, and those would be your deals to close by yourself. I mean, that is
Okay.
you. That is 8% commission. That's all you. After 25,000 students, what we've discovered, and Shannon can attest to this too, because she's had to deal with them. She has to deal with one of me, when I'm working with. They become incredibly complicated after 25,000 students. RFP requirements, purchasing agreements, certificates of insurance, triple signatures on everything. I mean, it gets just to be a headache. And in those, you would do it if it was in Arizona, for example, and it was a big district like, let's go, not Yuma, but let's go with, I don't know, who's over 25,000.
I
I'm
wonder
trying
in
to- I'm
Arizona
drawing a
who's over.
blank.
I mean, I don't know how big Peoria is. I don't know how big like the Phoenix Union High School District is.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I would feel like
So
that's
any of
probably a
those,
big one. Mesa's a
you
big
would work-
area too.
You and I
Yeah.
would do it together, right? I mean,
Okay.
that we work on that together and kind of basically split that out 4%. That's how that would work on that side. So, so that's how that worked. But as far as the team is concerned, right now the advantage we have right now working with district is that we are small and pretty nimble, right? So right now there's only 3 people on the sales team, right? We had more, we had to do a little contraction. Now we're expanding again. It's myself from the West. I'm in a kind of a player coach role. Haley's in Atlanta.
Mhm.
And we have Emily, who does kind of statewide deals in more targeted, larger districts around the country.
Okay.
She's also our founder. But our plan is to hire for this position, for the SDR role, but also bring another salesperson on at some point in probably for the middle of the country.
Right.
And then on the other side, which is what I was trying to get to, and I kind of got sidetracked, we are looking for a similar type of role to yours to sell outside of K-12. And specifically because we already have white labeled our product for some healthcare organizations, and they've done
Nice.
some customizations with it. So we're looking for that enterprise kind of side on.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit further down the road from today.
I like that. though.
Our bread and butter has been school districts, to
Like
be
in
quite
that
honest.
10,000
And
to 25,000.
and honestly, if you saw a district with 5,000 or 7,000, I mean, they had enough a deal that's not like one or two licenses, which is like,
Right.
oh, okay. We would go. I mean, we would be aggressive with that and try to make that sale. So really, the advantage is the gate is wide open.
Yeah.
Right. You have support. There are other players in this space, but they're not offering at the price point that we would. So we have an advantage there. It's one of the advantages of not being huge and having a lot of high paid executives that make exorbitant salaries. We stay within ourselves. And I think that sometimes is a headache, to be quite honest with you, but other times is an advantage because we don't tend to, like, for example, a lot of other competitors are canceling their conferences, cutting their sales teams, all those kind of things, and we're in a position now to hire. Right. So yeah, we're in a good spot right now.
Okay, I like that. What would you say the average deal size is?
That's a great guess. So if we're going to go with a district of say 10,000 students, let's go on the low side. And if they're going to do 3 grade levels, if it's 10,000, let's go with 800 per grade level. So 8 times 3 is 24, and we're looking at $3 a student or per month kind of thing, depending on what their use case is. So you're looking at deal size of whatever 6,000. So I would say the average deal size would be around 6,000 to 8,000.
Okay.
And that's for a district that's on the smaller side doing 3 grade levels.
Okay.
Right. So that's kind of where that lies. Now there are districts that are a lot larger than that. So obviously that would increase, but our total, we're trying to be realistic because you've been around, man. If you're like, hey, let's set a goal of 2.5 million for the first year when we've never tried this before. Well, that's not what we're going to try to do here. We're going to set a quote of around 500,000 to 600,000. And so the compensation would be the base plus the percentage, either 4 or 8%. 0.5% from us. If you run into a services deal, for example, kind of accidentally, you're like, James, Tucson Unified. Hey, there's one. Tucson wants to, they need speech because everybody does, or school psychs or whatever, and we win that. A part of my percentage that I would make would go to you as kind of a finder's fee for that.
Okay.
In addition to that, there's an incentive of, this is from our CEO, $250 per demo complete, scheduled and complete, and that kind of. And so if you put all those pieces together, it does seem to, there is some incentive to make this, work, but also help you get some incentive dollars, but while we're still ramping up, because obviously this is just, again, transparent. This is brand new for us. Yeah. And so we want to make sure we do it right, but we also want to keep people around, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
All right. Well, what other, because I know we're kind of running up a little bit on time here. Shannon, what questions do you have that we've done several of these, by the way, Sharif, and you're doing an excellent job. I want to give you some feedback real quick. You're doing great. What have I missed? Because I did get a little off track there from my normal. Well, if I have anything normal, I guess.
Stop. I don't know if you missed anything. I think, well, one, we haven't scared you off yet, so that's good.
That's good. That's positive.
No, but like James said, we're a smaller team. Our biggest group of people is our providers, the people that are actually helping the kids, right? Which, as it should be, we have about 85-ish, if I lose count, but because it changes all the time, but about 85 providers that are helping kids across the country. And then internally, we're less than 20. So we're definitely small, but there's benefit to that. Like James said, that there's a lot of help, support. Our CEO is our CEO is very much involved. He is not just sitting somewhere quietly at all. He is very involved.
Right.
And he has been here a little bit less than I have. I think he started a few months after I did. So he's been here about 3 years. And his background is in tech, SaaS, finance. So that this is his wheelhouse.
Mhm.
And so our mission is today. So you are our final interview of the week. So James and I are going to debrief on the other candidates, and then we're going to recommend that Kishore, that's our CEO, speak to like 2 or 3 of our top candidates, because this is more his wheelhouse of
Right.
understanding. He'll ask more technical and SaaS type of information that James and I don't possess. So he'll ask more questions about that. He's super direct. He's just like, he'll just no nonsense, which I personally appreciate, right? He'll just ask it and that's it. And so
I like nonsense.
I don't. I just want you to tell me point blank, black and white. Just say it. Don't sugarcoat it. Just say it. So I appreciate that about him. So he has availability on Monday. We blocked some time on his calendar, and so
Okay.
once James and I are done debriefing, then we'll reach out to who we would like to chat with Kishore, and then we'll get that scheduled with you guys on Monday. And then after that, then I guess, he'll circle back around with us. James or I, or both of us, will try to hop in with Kishore as well, so we don't make sure he doesn't ask you all the same things we already did. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
we
Okay.
don't make him repeat his answers.
Right.
And yeah, so that's kind of what next step looks like. We're trying to do it as quickly as we can. The school year is coming to an end, which is kind of when our sales cycle would start for the
That
next
makes
school
sense.
year, right?
Yeah.
They're starting to figure out what do they need and what do their budgets look like and all that good stuff. So that's why we're trying to get this kind of moving as quickly as we
Yeah.
can.
Right.
Okay.
Sharif, just out of curiosity, if you were the guy, right? We're like, hey, let's make an offer and you like it and everything's great. When could you theoretically start? And I know I'm jumping 50 steps here,
Yeah.
but just out of curiosity.
Theoretically, I'd say really anytime between the 1st and the 15th of April. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
You
that
want to
range
be
would work.
respectful to your current employer
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah. So, and again, to your point, I think you kind of got this. We're fully remote, so there's no commuting.
Yeah.
And so I think there might be a little bit of travel involved. I mean, not as much as probably myself and Haley and Emily, but if there are some SaaS specific conferences that are mental health
Yeah.
focused, especially for that screener part, that would be something we'd probably want to bring you with,
Okay.
so you can
Yeah, I'd
get
be
out
open,
and meet
for
people.
sure.
So is that okay? Got it.
And I think
I'll
that they
try to
will
make
train
sure
him on
Shannon.
demos. Sorry, I didn't want to forget that.
Oh
So,
yeah,
like,
we will. Yeah.
So right
Go
now
ahead.
we have a couple people that are doing like the demos, right?
Right.
But eventually I think the goal would be for your sake, right? So you get those demos booked, you get it done, right? You move it along quicker than waiting for someone else on our team to hop in and do it
Right.
for you. So then they would help you get trained on on the platform and teach you how to do a demo. And so that
Sweet.
you can then just do it on your own and not have to like call somebody in and say, hey, when do you have time to do this? Right. You can just get it done.
Yeah.
So they're just trained another person on our team, and she seems to have a good kind of script and all this stuff. So once she gets it solidified, then I'm sure she'd be happy to kind of train the next person and help
Sweet.
them and share what she's done. So it's new to everybody. So just be aware of that. Like this just kind of like got finalized, this screener, like very recently. So we're all learning together. So nobody
Right.
expects anybody to know it perfectly right now.
Right.
But it is pretty cool. And as someone who used to work in a school, I'm like, wow, this would have been helpful when I was there.
Good.
Because I didn't have this. So anyway, any other questions that you can think of? And if not, that's okay.
Yeah.
But just want to make sure we answer everything for you.
Yeah. I mean, really no questions for me. I guess I'll just look forward to the next steps. But like you
Sure.
guys went over and answered everything to a T. So
Right.
I appreciate the time.
Awesome. No,
Yes.
we appreciate talking to you. This has been great. Honestly, some of the best questions we've had. So
Good.
100%.
You should hear.
you should be very happy. You should be proud.
Yeah, those
Thank
are
you.
great. It's because he's in Arizona. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Of course,
It does.
that's why. Yeah.
No, but James and I are gonna debrief like shortly in the
Okay.
next few minutes probably, and kind of just go over everybody from the week.
Yeah.
And then we'll send you an update this afternoon no matter what.
Okay. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Thanks,
So
Sharif.
nice to meet you.
All right. Nice to meet you as well. Have a good weekend.
You
You
too.
too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.